And welcome back for part 2 of Kharkov as sometimes an engineer on Let's Play Battlefield 1942. As I was gonna say before I realized I was running out of time, on a 3-flag map, it's usually one flag that... Okay, thank you for dying there. It's usually one flag that makes a difference between one side being bled and the other. So for one person to keep a flag neutral, even though they're getting absolutely 0 points for doing that, it's strategically very, very useful. So one person can make a difference, at least in that context. Picking up a dead person's engineer kit. I really like taking the engineer's repair ability and using it to make some good use of a smoking tank. People just leave them around assuming they're going to die. Uh-oh. Yeah, that guy threw out an X-Pack there. Didn't have enough time to get away, but if I'd stayed in there I would have died anyway. And I had a friendly mine on me, by the way. That's why I wasn't moving around in that tank and trying to get it to safety. The red circle with the skull and crossbones, of course, denotes a friendly landmine in the area. If that guy had wanted to, I suppose he could have just jumped in the tank and killed me with it and kept the tank safe instead of blowing it up. But I guess what he did was safer. But that's just a common technique that people use to steal a tank. You throw the X-Packs out there. Usually the tank has to be immobilized by having a landmine on it, but you throw X-Packs out there, people are afraid you're going to detonate them, so they jump out of the tank to get away, and then you just jump inside the tank. A lot of Germans, it seems, came out of nowhere to occupy this flag. Would have been useful to see them earlier. This is almost kind of a mirror image of what we saw on the first episode when the Allies were really strong on the opposite side. Of course, we're also really strong in the center, too. Just weak on our own side, I guess. This is a map where you can really set landmines out in the middle of the path, and they're almost invisible. But with friendly fire enabled on this server, it's just an invitation to get your own vehicle's team killed. And that's kind of how you deal with the machine gunners, either assaults or medics, when you're an engineer at a good range. They can only get good accuracy by remaining still, and when they do that, you just pause and fire at them. When they're really smart, what they do is, as medics, they'll heal themselves as they close the gap, or they throw grenades, because the grenades actually get really good distance on this game. Okay, I've just been sniped by someone. Okay, I've got at least a couple guys after me for whatever reason. They just all noticed me. Trees, of course, make extremely useful cover because they're totally bulletproof. If you get one hit on somebody and they're pretty close to you, you can just pull out the pistol and it should take only 1 or 2 bullets to finish them off. Another trick, if somebody is in an enclosed area and you can't really make them out, you can look for their name tag. And if you point out their name tag, just focus the crosshairs on the name tag, you can often get a kill. And I guess I didn't... Yeah, I guess just barely quick enough to get over to the sniper. But as you saw in that last life toward the end, the engineer rifle, even this version, it can be extremely effective if you're at the right range, and it also helps a lot if the enemies are headed straight toward you, as opposed to going side to side. Alright, we're getting some hostiles in our flag, but I'll switch back to engineer just for the principle of it. The principle of doing something a little bit different. I mean, again, the medic class is really overpowered compared to the rest of them, or I guess you could say the other ones are underpowered. So in most situations, it's better to be a medic. In fact, you could probably have a really strong team just having everybody on the team as a medic. So I'm not, in these bonus episodes, I'm not always going to be, making the smartest decision when choosing class. I'm going to err on the side of being a little bit just different, generally picking engineer probably most of the time. Especially on maps like this where it's basically symmetrical and a lot of back and forth. So you've seen all these flags plenty of times before. That tank got in the way of my beautifully lined up headshot. And the engineer, of course, does suffer from the same problem that the sniper has, which is most of the time people are very good about not going in. Just toss that. No. There we go. As soon as that guy moves, he should be dead, so you can just run away, feeling completely secure in that. And there again, one shot, and then move to the pistol and just get 1 or 2 bullets into him. It's also really tricky to try to get just the right distance away from someone when you're detonating an X-Pack at close range. I mean, I really have no idea whether or not I'm going to team kill myself with that. But anyway, people move, they don't stay still because they don't want to get sniped, and that really hurts the engineer as well, so it's hard for him to get headshots. If you want to be good with the engineer rifle, you just have to get good at hitting moving targets and get 2 body shots. You also have to really change up your play style a lot. You really have to learn to stay on the periphery of the battle, and that's really kind of a problem for me. My instinct is always to rush in there because I like to play a medic. Of course, actually, even if you're playing as a medic, it does benefit you to stay kind of around the edges of the conflict, just a little bit closer in. They actually had some pretty decent aim there with their Russian artillery. If I hadn't moved, that would have completely obliterated me. But the weakness of the artillery, of course, is any kind of a competent pilot, if he's doing any teamwork at all, look for the artillery, just spend a few bullets and easily destroy it. Artillery should be the favorite target of any good airplane. Okay, that guy was actually friendly. Wow, they already have their bazookas out. Usually you have to kill them first. And that's a really good place to set up landmines. As you could tell, or I don't know if you could tell from that, but the landmines were virtually invisible on that path because the soil looks just like the landmine. Probably not as bad as with Kursk, with the grass and the darkness, but still. And the Russians are now down to 3 tickets. I think overall we did a good job on the western side, at least. That's where I was focusing. And I think we were pretty strong in the center flag as well once it got capped. And that'll do it for Kharkov. See you on the next bonus episode.